Have you ever stopped to think about the language you speak? We tend to see it as just a tool, right? Something we use to get our thoughts out into the world. But what if it's so much more than that? What if the very words you use are actually building your reality?
So that's the big question we're diving into. Is language a mirror, just reflecting a world that's already there? Or is it more like a map that doesn't just show you the territory, but actually guides where you look, what you pay attention to, and what you think is important?
The philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein put it this way, and it's a really powerful idea. The limits of my language mean the limits of my world. Just think about that for a second. Could the words you know literally define the edges of your universe? It sounds pretty wild, so let's see if there's anything to it.
Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, let's start with a super simple, really clear example. And it all comes down to a single color, blue.
So in English, we look at this whole gradient, and we have one basic word for it, blue. Yeah, sure, we can say light blue or dark blue, but it's all just blue. But in Russian, it's a totally different story. They have two completely separate, distinct words, gluboy for light blues and sinye for dark blues. To a Russian speaker, these aren't just shades of the same color. They're as different as blue and green are to us.
So what's the big deal? Well, it actually changes how people see the world. In studies, when scientists asked people to quickly tell two shades apart, Russian speakers were consistently faster when one shade was goluboy and the other was sinny. Their language has literally trained their brain to see that boundary more sharply. It's a real, measurable effect on perception.
And this whole phenomenon has a name. It's called linguistic relativity, or you might sometimes hear it called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. It's the idea that your language doesn't just describe your world, it actively influences how you think about it. Now, it's really important to get this right. There's a strong version of this idea that says language is like a cage, that it completely traps you and determines what you can think. That's been pretty much rejected. But the weak version, that's got tons of evidence. The idea is that language isn't a cage, it's more like a nudge. It gently pushes you to think in certain ways, making some habits of thought easier and more automatic than others. And this nudge isn't just about colors, not at all. We see its effects everywhere, from how we understand space and time to how we even think about blame.
Let's start with space. In Kuuk-Taiwan, an Aboriginal language in Australia, they don't have words like left and right. Can you imagine? Instead, they use cardinal directions, north, south, east, west, for everything. You wouldn't say watch out for the ant to your left, you'd say watch out for the ant to the north of your foot. The result? Speakers have to stay constantly oriented, giving them a kind of built-in compass in their brain that most of us just don't have.
Or how about time? In English, we think of the future as being ahead of us, but for Aymara speakers in the Andes, it's the total opposite. The past, which you've already seen and know, is in front of you. The future, which is unknown and unseen, is behind you. It makes a kind of perfect sense, right? And it's not just a saying. They actually gesture forward when talking about the past and backward for the future.
Okay, one more. Blame. In English, our grammar really likes to focus on who did something. We're very agent-focused. We say, she broke the vase. The person is right there, front and center.
But in languages like Spanish or Japanese, it's much more common to use a structure that basically means the vase broke itself. It focuses on the outcome, not the person who did it. And get this, it actually changes memory. Studies show English speakers are better at remembering who was responsible for an accident, while speakers of these other languages are often better at remembering that the accident happened at all.
So, these aren't just a few isolated little quirks. When you zoom out and look at the big picture, you realize something amazing. The incredible diversity of languages on our planet means there's an incredible diversity in how human beings can think.
Think about this number for a second. 7,000. There are over 7,000 languages spoken in the world today. That's not just 7,000 different sets of words. That's 7,000 different toolkits for building reality.
The cognitive scientist Lara Borditsky, who has done so much of this research, puts it perfectly. She says, human minds have invented not one cognitive universe, but 7,000. Each language offers its speakers a completely unique way to experience the world.
And every one of these languages is like a living library of a culture's values and history. You see it in untranslatable words for complex emotions, or in the elaborate systems of politeness in Japanese that encode social structures, or in the massive vocabulary for fish in a language spoken by a coastal people. A language is an archive of what generations of people have paid attention to.
So this all brings us to a really crucial final point. It totally changes how we should think about language itself, and especially what it means to learn a new one.
Because here's the main takeaway. If there's one thing to remember, it's this. You don't just have pure thoughts in a vacuum and then wrap them in words.
It's much deeper than that. You think through your language. It's like the operating system for your mind. It provides the structures, the categories, and the well-worn paths your thoughts naturally follow. And what that really means is that when you learn a new language, you're doing so much more than just memorizing a new set of labels for the same old things.
You're actually getting a whole new cognitive toolkit, a new way to notice the world, a new way to carve up reality into different categories, and maybe even a new way to feel and to be. It's not just an academic skill, it's a way to expand your own mind.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. The language you speak right now has already built so much of your world. Just imagine for a second, how could learning a new one reshape it entirely?